This is wild as we have multiple reports discussing that the Rams were actually not really that interested in getting Jaylen Ramsey. We're also talking about the future of the quarterback position and what it could be with Archie Manning possibly, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. Remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor. Press that subscribe button now, as roughly 67.1% of you guys are watching the videos already, but you're still not pressing that subscribe button. Do me the favor. It doesn't cost you a thing. Press that subscribe button so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. I do appreciate the recent growth. As you guys have noticed, that percentage has changed. So if you guys are watching and you already pressed that subscribe button, appreciate you. If you haven't yet, just help us grow the channel so we can continue to grow the Rams Digest, get it to a larger audience, as we want to get to all Rams fans sooner rather than later. Before we get into anything else, the first story of the day, the Rams, kind of surprisingly, never really being interested. Now, I do say kind of surprisingly because we talked about this multiple times, right? And obviously, Joshua Feinherz just dropped his video yesterday discussing how, hey, maybe the Rams may have dodged a bullet. Well, I do think that perspective is obviously discussing the Rams dodging a bullet in the sense of, hey, the Dolphins kind of played a little, the Steelers, I should say, paid a lot to get Jaylen Ramsey, obviously losing Minkah Fitzpatrick. And so maybe the Rams, trying to get into that bidding war was going to be a big loss for them ultimately in order to try to get a player like Jaylen Ramsey, not to mention the money the Steelers are now going to have to pay Jaylen Ramsey, right? You could obviously see what Joshua Feinherz said last episode. But Jaylen Ramsey wasn't a real option for the Rams, originally posted to Los Angeles Rams on Sports Illustrated. This comes to us from Brock Rivera. And so I am talking about this because we are saying, hey, look, a lot of Rams fans were very intrigued by Jaylen Ramsey, wanting Jaylen Ramsey to come back. We had Adam Schefter saying he's going to play on the West Coast. It's going to happen very soon, possibly before training camp. This isn't something that we're making up and just pulling out of thin air. This is something that real reporters who are very, very credible are saying, hey, look, our credible sources are saying this is where he's going to end up. I don't just think it might happen. I expect it to happen, right? And so that is kind of where a lot of this came from. So a lot of Rams fans, Rams outlets, YouTubers like us, all these people were coming out and saying, hey, look, the Rams and Jaylen Ramsey makes too much sense to not happen. But ultimately, it didn't happen. And so maybe it was never really a real possibility to begin with. And I think that is more of the reality because we are discussing the Rams specifically trading for Jaylen Ramsey, something that we talked about here on the Rams Digest multiple times, saying, look, yes, you want Jaylen Ramsey, but do you want to pay him all that money? And so here we're talking about this article. This is talking a little bit coming from the perspective of Colin Cowherd from Fox Sports discussing this on his show. He says, look, Jaylen Ramsey, $26.5 million. The Steelers went and got him, stated Cowherd. The Steelers can't stop spending money on defense. Pittsburgh has led the NFL in defensive spending 3 years in a row. This will guarantee it's 4. You know who spends it on offense? The Rams and the Eagles have the 2 cheapest defenses today, and the Chiefs spent the most money in the league on offense. What do they have in common? Momentum and winning. The Rams do not spend unnecessary money on defense, especially on defensive backs. It's how the Rams operate and why Ramsey will not play for Los Angeles this season. And so, yes, Colin Cowherd does make a point, right? Talking about the Steelers, first of all, for a second. Talk about the Dolphins trading him to Pittsburgh. That is, the big story at line actually originally was, hey, look, Minkah Fitzpatrick going back to Miami. That's kind of an insane move, I think, if you're the Steelers. You're letting go of one of your best defenders, the quarterback of that defense, really, for Pittsburgh the last couple of seasons, and now getting a aging cornerback in Jaylen Ramsey, having to pay him $26.5 million. I mean, all of that. Also, getting Jonnu Smith, cool, you got a nice tight end, but they did kind of spend a lot to get Jaylen Ramsey and are now going to rely on him to be the opposite cornerback, probably aside from Joey Porter Jr., right? So they are still going to have a good defense. They are spending a lot of money on defense. They are succeeding somewhat at having a good defense rather than just spending on offense. But they did bring in Aaron Rodgers and all that good stuff, so maybe Pittsburgh will be okay. Who knows? It's very questionable what's happening in Pittsburgh right now. Joshua Feinherz came out and said, hey, look, Rams dodge a bullet. And specifically, we're talking about trading for Ramsey because looking at that $26.5 million that Pittsburgh's now paying him, it's going to put them in a situation where they're paying the most money, like Colin Cowherd pointed out, on the defense side of the ball year after year after year. And that's not really conducive to winning. It's not really winning. It's not showing on the football field they can win in that way. The Rams having the cheapest defense is also not really proven to be a success story necessarily. I think the Chiefs have had a really good defense in recent years. I think the Eagles have also had a really good defense in recent years, which is why both teams have been in the Super Bowl a couple of times now the last couple of years. And so I think you do need to spend a little bit on both sides. And I think that is kind of the frustration that I have from the Rams' perspective. I am not mad at them at all for not trading for Jaylen Ramsey. I think you don't want to spend that much money on Jaylen Ramsey. But I think definitely making the call, talking about it was a conversation to be had. It seemed like they did have it, but I think they pulled back when they realized Miami is really going to try to trade Jaylen Ramsey, and they ultimately did trade Jaylen Ramsey. The Rams were more intrigued if he got, released from his contract and was a free agent after clearing waivers. The Rams were possibly going to swoop in that point and then pick him up as a free agent. They were never really interested in trading for him. Kind of interesting, but also I understand it. I want the Rams to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of going after a cornerback and in terms of going after a linebacker. Like, these are two positions I think that they can be more aggressive in. I'm not saying that the guys they have now, Keila Witherspoon and Kobe Durant and maybe Emmanuel Forbes is in the mix and all these guys on the defensive back side of things. I'm not saying those guys aren't football players. They are good football players, solid football players who have proven to be very valuable to the Rams organization, obviously very valuable to this Rams defense overall. But it's not Super Bowl winning good. And I think that is kind of, generally speaking, the concern that I have. We talked about numbers a couple episodes ago, right, discussing I don't think the Rams rank very high in terms of their defensive back production. And so that is kind of the concern. I want these defensive backs to just be a little bit better because the Rams are not just trying to make the playoffs, not trying to compete versus the Eagles. They're not just trying to get into close games and maybe get to the NFC Championship. The Rams are trying to win a Super Bowl. And so that is my concern. But ultimately, it's okay. The Rams weren't interested in trading for Jaylen Ramsey because I think it was a little bit too much to ask for when we're talking about paying a player of his caliber, even at this point, especially at this point in his career where it seems like he's slowing down talent-wise. We'll have to wait and see if it works out for Pittsburgh, but ultimately, I'm okay. The Rams were never really interested in actually trading for Jaylen Ramsey. You guys let me know how you guys feel about that in the comment section down below. Moving on from that, crystal ball time. We are taking a look at the future of the quarterback position just for a quick second. Don't want to get into too much detail about this because this is still a year away, but I do want to kind of highlight a couple things here. One, the Rams are probably going to be interested in a guy like Archie Manning, but the trades that they made, is that really what's going to carry them over the top? So this is why I want to kind of sit and talk about this for a second, saying, hey, Rams summer scouting, is Arch Manning the real deal? I think the Rams, as shout out to Jared Feinberg, by the way, we'll give him a shout out in a couple of slides as well, but I'm actually intrigued to see what happens with him this year. I actually don't know if I want Arch Manning to be crazy dominant successful in college because I think the Rams are going to struggle to go and get that pick if that's the case. Archie Manning also played for New Orleans. New Orleans is very obviously one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL this upcoming season. Yes, they have a new head coach. Yes, they still have a couple of talented players, but they are not very good. And so that is kind of the concern. The New Orleans Saints are most likely going to be much, 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 much worse than the Rams for sure, but a lot worse than the Atlanta Falcons as well. And those are the two picks that the Rams have this upcoming offseason. We'll talk about this for a second. I'll show you guys the draft picks in just a second. But Manning has only a few career starts to his name, just 95 career pass attempts as an inexperienced, played a role in several key flaws. This includes manipulating defenders more consistently, especially safeties and split or deep third alignments, and timing and anticipation could be better on some out and in breakers. However, you could argue this is more nitpicking and a positive of sorts. Overall, if Manning continues to improve, he should be the projected number one overall pick in next year's draft, but will need to prove it with just 1 year of potential starting experience when his season ends in January. So for the next few months, once college football picks up and is ready to go, we're going to be keeping a close eye on what Arch Manning is doing, or maybe just keeping an eye on him from a distance to see if the Rams can potentially sneak in, swoop in, and take him as their future quarterback. I think that's why they were happy getting another first-round pick next year. Say the Rams do what they have to do and win a Super Bowl next year. Cool. Well, now you have the 32nd pick in the draft. The Atlanta Falcons, say they make the playoffs, you're talking about a 15, 16 to 20, first round pick. So that's not going to get it done to get a quarterback like Archie Manning if he pans out the way we want him to. And so when we're looking at the draft picks for the Rams next season, again, the Atlanta Falcons first round pick, the Rams have their own first round pick, which we're hoping is as low as possible, right? Second round pick, third round pick, couple fifths, couple sixths, so they have some picks to play with here. Do you want to trade your entire draft class to try to go up and get a guy like Archie Manning? I'm not sure that's 100% the best case scenario for the Rams, but ultimately I think they're interested. I want to see what they do here. I want to make sure I remind you guys, let's all keep an eye on Archie Manning and see if he can be a real possibility for the Rams next season. You guys, let me know how you guys feel about him generally speaking. Or, as a football fan, as a Rams fan, I want the Rams to go and get Archie Manning. As a football fan, I would love to see I would love to see Archie Manning kind of follow his grandpa's footsteps at this point and go play for the New Orleans Saints, but we'll have to wait and see. You guys let me know how you guys feel about that. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Jared Feinberg. If you want to go check out his whole breakdown of a bunch of little Archie Manning, whole Archie Manning thread, breaking down some throws and plays from him from last season, you guys can go ahead and take a look. Shout out to Jared Feinberg, at JRod NFL Draft on Twitter. Go ahead and RX, if you will. Go ahead and I want to shout them out real quick. If you guys want to really see a breakdown of someone who knows what they're talking about, go ahead and check them out. I want to shout them out there. But, yeah, ultimately very intrigued to see what the Rams end up doing at the quarterback position because, hey, Matthew Stafford's not playing forever, so we'll have to wait and see on what they can do next year. Moving on from that, last but not least, trivia of the day. My favorite part of the episode where I ask a trivia question. You guys give your trivia guesses down below in the comment section. Whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we give you a shout out on the next episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. If you missed last episode's trivia of the day, well, this was the question that we asked to everybody last episode. Which of these rule changes was made because of the Rams' greatest show on turf era? So we were back to a little bit more Rams-centric trivia, which I'm happy to do. Specifically, this was a very long-winded multiple-choice option, so let me just take a second here and hear this out. Was it A, the elimination of the tuck rule? Was it B, the extractor that's not the right word, the enforcement of illegal contact by defenders? Or was it C, the introduction of 2-point conversions? Or D, the implementation of overtime coin toss rule? That was a question we asked. Those are the multiple choice options. We had a few of you guys play along at home in the comments. We had the Real J Will saying 2-point conversion. We had Blake Harris saying yes, the illegal contact. We had Brian B saying B, stricter enforcement of contact by defenders. We had at Floyd saying stricter enforcement of illegal contact by defenders. And we had Glider saying stricter enforcement of illegal contact. So everyone said the same thing except for the Real J Will. Which one of you guys is correct? The correct answer was B, yes, the enforcement of illegal contact, stricter enforcement by illegal contact by defenders. And the reason why is because that era of football, especially the Rams' greatest show on turf era, was a lot of heavy passing offense. Obviously, with two great receivers, a great quarterback, they were throwing the ball a lot. And so the NFL saw this as an opportunity to go ahead and push this forward a little bit, make teams want to pass more because of that advantage the offense kind of seems to have. Right nowadays in football, it's kind of just normal for us to see kind of if you're throwing the ball up down in the air, you better keep your hands off of that receiver or they're going to call a flag. That kind of was sparked by the Rams' greatest show on turf era because they were throwing the ball so much. It was entertaining football. I think the NFL kind of wanted to go in that direction a little bit more, but also, hey, give some rule changes to help the receivers not just get killed out there while they're trying to catch a football. So that was kind of definitely a big part of it as well. So thank you guys for playing along with the Trivia of the Day. Shout out to all those folks who played along with last episode's Trivia of the Day. If you want to shout out just like those folks, play along with today's Trivia of the Day, which is this question here. Which quarterback did the Rams trade away to acquire Jared Goff with the number 1 pick in 2016? Another Rams-centric trivia question here. Which quarterback did the Rams trade away to acquire Jared Goff with the number 1 pick in 2016? Your multiple choice options for this trivia of the day are here, as I take a second to pull them up. Was it A, Sam Bradford? Was it B, Case Keenum? Was it C, Nick Foles? Or was it D, Austin Davis? Again, which quarterback did the Rams trade away to acquire Jared Goff with the number 1 pick in 2016? Was it A, Sam Bradford, B, Case Keenum, C, Nick Foles, or D, Austin Davis. Give your guesses down below in the comment section. Again, whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Other than that, that's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. Hope you guys all enjoyed it, had some fun. If you guys want to do me a favor, please press that subscribe button so you don't miss any more daily Rams content. That's going to do it for me. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I'm out.